Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christian with PerfectStockAlert.com, a 100% free service for smart investors and traders. All we ask in return, please refer a friend. Today is Wednesday, September the 18th, 2013. We'll be looking at the markets today, various different situations, and show you kind of how the strategy from the Fed to not taper has affected and rippled through the markets. And so we're going to start looking at basically we're looking at the dollar, the power shares, the US dollar index, the bullish fund. In this particular scenario, we talked about this before. You could see that we had, can't really see the other point is back here anymore, but you had this basically little support line that was here, and that was why we were bouncing off of this point here and back here and then here and then again here. And then you see that ends today, and that ends because they decided not to taper, and the market had basically been anticipating that tapering was going to happen, and that's why we've been bouncing off the support here and then get a higher high, and then we pull back preparing for the announcement of the taper, and then we would have rallied here. But they came out and said, no, we're not going to do that, and so we see this breakdown here of that. So this is going to continue to move lower here. But anything that is, whenever the Fed says, okay, we're not going to taper, that means they're going to keep printing and they're going to keep doing what they're doing, supporting the market. So what you actually have there is the dollar gets devalued, and then anything in priced in dollars would then be valued higher because the dollar is worth less, and therefore everything else would in turn go higher, and that's why you're seeing gold and things of that nature rally today. So let me show you some other things. Okay, here's a quick look at the XOI oil index in this particular chart. We've already been long this position from back here, here, and now we got a big boost today on that news of never mind, we're not going to taper as early as we thought. And so you see this candlestick formation here. This candlestick formation, small wick out of the top, small wick out of the bottom, and then you've got the longer body here. That is a continuation signal to the upside. You expect this to continue to push here. You see kind of a similar thing here. We have this little wick out of the bottom here, a little bit wick out of the top there, a little length of the body there, and that would tell you continuation to the upside as well. And then again, so we're seeing it here as well. I continue to hold this position, look for it to rally. You can advance the stop to today's low, and then anticipate that to continue to press higher here. That would make sense. Alright, just a quick look here at silver. We'll also look at gold. They're basically going to be the same chart. There's a little bit difference here how we traded them, though. In this particular case, we saw this move here as being bullish and told you could buy this little pullback here, and we expected you would end up closing above this 50-period moving averages red line right here. That happened a few days later, and then she just continued to rally. And then we got a little sell signal here, and so we advanced the stop on that particular position on silver. We did not do so on gold, but we did on silver. We had our reasoning explained at that point in time. But the basic thing here was we took some profits and watched this guy pull down. But we still wanted to get involved because the long term is still very bullish. There's nothing wrong with silver and gold. And so we look at this as being a pullback entry opportunity. We're just looking for that entry opportunity. We saw that a couple days ago, and then we got confirmation, and we just held the position. And then now you see today's move higher. That makes perfect sense with the fact that dollars are going to be devalued more, and then gold push higher. This again makes perfect sense. There's nothing odd about that. Also, if you look at the overall chart formation, short term or long, you'll see low point, low point, higher high. This is just a continuation of a bullish pattern. All we've seen here, this is the low of 1910. We come up here, high point higher than previous 2059. We pull back down. This low point much lower than this one here. Also, note we're finding support at the 50-period moving average. All these things are very bullish, normal. Look for a test of this high here in gold. And in fact, you can still be a buyer of gold. You can be a little bit late, but you're still pretty close to the main support line, which is here. I won't advance the stop from this point here yet. You could, but it's not necessary. And at this point in time, you continue to look for this to move to the upside, like I said. And again, if we look at the overall chart, we haven't actually done anything on the ultimate oscillator to indicate we've peaked for good or anything of that nature. And long-term chart shows we're just getting started in reversal here on gold and silver. So again, this is a very good position to be in. Quick glance here at gold. You can see the same basic overall development here on the chart. And like I said, this one we did not stop ourselves out of. When we had this little sell signal, we left our position there because it was possible that you could have had this little penny move to the downside and then took off again, and that would have left us out of gold and silver together. So rather than do that, we only took the position off on silver, left it on gold, and then now we're re-entering. In the sense of gold, we have already been involved from back here, here, and now again here. So if you haven't been involved, this is an opportunity to do so. And if you already were, then you just stay with it. The basic overall story, low point here, higher low here, finding support at the 50-period moving average, all these things are normal. Look for a test of the previous high here. And again, note, like we talked about before earlier, I think it was this week or maybe last, when you get down to that 30 point on the ultimate oscillator, that's where you expect to find your bounces. And so that would make a lot of sense as well. That's what we're seeing here. Okay, a quick glance here at the TRAN, the Dow Jones Transportation Average Index. This is one we talked about. It was yesterday. I told you that this is where we would be bullish on taking new positions here because this one is not as overextended as the Dow Jones. And we talked about yesterday with the Dow, we told you we were advancing that stop, and it almost guaranteed, based on yesterday's candlestick formation, that we would be stopped out. We were, but all the other positions, the S&P, the Wilshire 4500, all those, we're still involved in those, and we're still involved in the trend. And again, I want to point out, look at the wick out of the top, the wick out of the bottom, body candlestick formation. This is a continuation signal to the upside, so I'd be looking for that to continue to press higher and continue to stay with it. We'll advance the stock when we start moving higher there, but for now, we'll just stay long, continue to hold your positions, make as much money as you can on this move to the upside, and then advance the stops to lock in game before the next pullback comes along. For those of you who would like to see some of the other charts that we track for you at perfectstockalert.com, the free website, there's like 20-something of them. You can go here to the market section and market charts right there, and you will find them. And there's like a couple others that we've got setups on, and that would be bullish positions that you could take. And then there's also several showing where my stop loss limits are at and positions we're already involved in and things like that. So you can kind of get a feel of what's going on. Now, also, I want to point out, if you were looking at, like we were talking about a couple days ago, with the VIX was setting up bullish, and you see that broke down today, that broke down because of the news that came out today. So that's what happened. The market was setting up for, okay, we're going to go into tapering mode. Then we saw them say, never mind, we're not going to taper, and then boom, that fails, and we go on the other direction. So that's why you continue to monitor the market, see what news is affecting it, and where the opportunities are. And this video kind of shows you where we think some of the better opportunities are at. There's also others out there that I don't cover all in every single video, so be sure to check them out. Okay, God bless, take care, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Please take a moment to review our disclaimer. The information provided herein is our opinion only. Under no circumstances do any statements here represent a recommendation to buy or sell securities or make any kind of an investment. You are responsible for your own due diligence. To summarize, we do not provide investment advice, nor do we make any claims or promises that any information here will lead to a profit, loss, or any other result. These videos are for educational purposes only.